The most important environmental issues in Greece are all of them.
For sure, I would say like plastic pollution is #1 right now in Greece. It's something that we see, like if we walk around in like a beach nearby, we can see plastic is everywhere. And this doesn't only affect sea turtles, it affects every single species, as we already know, and basically the whole environment.
The situation regarding all environmental issues, sustainability in general, is tough in Greece, especially during the period of the economic crisis. Things turned much worse.
We are slowly getting into recycling, upcycling, all these subjects and really understanding our daily impact, how big it is.
We did not have any oil and gas drilling in Greece before the crisis, so now it's the whole of the western part of Greece, okay, that has been conceded to big petroleum companies. It is a huge threat to many, many sensitive ecosystems. It is a huge threat to the climate. And there is a massive threat to the tourism economies, local economies that are based on tourism. In Zakynthos, Corfu, Patras, Western Peloponnese, half of Crete. So Greece takes a bit like pocket money by the petroleum companies for rent. The petroleum companies get, everything, and Greece is left with the pollution and the high emissions.
There was a glimmer of hope in the beginning when we started through the big economic crisis that hit Greece, and people were starting to turn into alternative ways of life and how they could live alternatively and all these subjects. But this kind of peaked, and then again people kind of forgot.
It was surprising to see so many people so deeply concerned about the environment during the economic crisis. The economic crisis was a really difficult situation for many people, but there is a disconnect between what Greeks feel, this concern, this worry, and what they can do. So they want the politicians to act, they are concerned, but it is not clear to them if there is something they can do, and this is the challenge for us.
Archelon is basically the Sea Turtle Protection Society of Greece. It started more than 30 years ago when actually the founder of Archelon found some tracks of a female loggerhead turtle in like a beach in Zakynthos Island. So actually that was the first recorded ever nest that we had of a turtle. The rescue center came later on. So here at the rescue center, we're treating injured or sick sea turtles that are coming from many different places all over Greece, basically. And we've been here in Glyfada, Athens, since 1994. There is a specific phone number. We call it a rescue phone. It's 24/7. So whoever finds an injured turtle or a sick turtle or a sea turtle that doesn't seem like very healthy or has some troubles in like diving, for example, and then the Coast Guard goes to the location of the injured or sick turtle and then make sure that the turtle is being transported here in Athens. So basically, sea turtles are arriving by bus in specifically designed boxes, same as the ones that we're using here to transfer them. And sometimes we also receive turtles by boat, by ferry, so we go to the port to pick them up. and bring them here. Apart from the hook and the fishing line ingestion, it's the deliberate injuries. The majority of them are in the head of the sea turtles. Those injuries, they're very difficult to treat most of the times, and they affect a lot of functions of the animals, and this is why they need a lot of months to recover, if they recover. The most wonderful moments can be those of releases. So when you receive an injured turtle, and sometimes we're not even sure if that turtle is going to make it, and you see like gradually this whole rehabilitation of that animal, and you're the one who actually treats the sea turtle, and you see the animal start eating on its own or diving, and it takes months. So when that animal is able to be released, it's like a magical moment. Everybody can be a volunteer in Archelon, either in the rescue center or in the beach projects that we have in 3 different areas in Greece for the protection of nests. So we welcome people from all over the world. You don't have to be a vet or a biologist or something like related to environmental studies. Everybody's welcome. The application is very simple. You just do it online, and then the volunteer coordinator is in touch with you. All the people should know that sea turtles have been here for millions of years, and they should continue to be here on this planet. And also, they don't. They're not a competition for the fishermen. They don't eat fish, so basically, there's no reason to harm them.
Arcturus is a Greek NGO, environmental NGO, that protects the bears and the wolves in Greece. And we find that through protecting these 2 umbrella species, we can protect the environment, because they are the animals, the mammals that are at the top of the pyramid. They are the strongest. And once we make sure that we have a healthy population for both of them, then we can ensure that the environment is working well, and this is our focus. I think that my favorite moment in my career so far at Arcturus has been when we managed to complete the transfer of 2 bears from a zoo in Thessaloniki to our sanctuary. It was a big project that gained massive support from the people, and it was very rewarding to see the 2 bears that had lived in a small place full of concrete finally living in a natural habitat. Working for not only for the environment but also for a non-profit organization makes you feel that you do offer something good for the society. So saving animals and the environment, I think it's and also getting the chance to work outside of an office sometimes it's very self-rewarding. Arcturus is currently having an international environmental center which consists of two sanctuaries, the wolf sanctuary and the brown bear sanctuary. This is a place where wolves and bears are hosted. These are animals that used to be captivated or that they cannot be introduced back in the wild for any reason. Together, but they're not good together. The conflict is with farmers or shepherds that feel threatened, or this is a field where wild animals are doing some damages in their farmland or in their flocks. But we are also trying to diffuse those conflicts, and one of the actions that we do is distributing the Greek shepherd dogs to farmers and shepherds. So we give them the necessary and the proper tools that they can have in order to protect the flock and to minimize the damages that they might have from wild animals. We have a very rich research program. Our scientific team is publishing many papers, and we have done a lot of work. I would say probably the core work for what we know about bears in Greece has been done by Arcturus. And another very important pillar in our work is environmental education. Arcturus is developing environmental education programs for children at school. We get into their class and teach them in a funny and amusing way for them more things about the protection of those two species.
We started our project here in 1993, so we are 26 years old, more or less. Some fundamental activities have been implemented in the beginning. We operated the information center, visitor center for 10 years, and we did an environmental study for this forest. That it was the basic study in order to have the protection of this forest as national park.
The Dia National Park is considered as a paradise for birds of prey. We have many species that nest here, and in Europe we have 2 or 3 areas like Dadia. We have really rich biodiversity, so it means that all these birds, they can find food here. Imagine that black vulture is the biggest bird of prey in Europe. The wingspan is like 3 meters, so the bird needs a really huge tree to nest. It's one place in Greece and in the Balkans where we still have these big trees. We realized that we need to expand our area. We can't be focused only on the national park because vultures, from their nature, they cover really huge areas in order to find their food. And outside from the national park, there are many threats that they are waiting for them. So there are wind farms, there are poison baits. So like this, now we are a field project that work in a huge area, almost in whole Thrace. The biggest threats to birds of prey and vultures here is poison baits, wind farms, collision with electric infrastructures. Also here in Dadia, for this forest, the risk of fire, of course, it's a threat to these birds. And due to climate change, this threat becomes every year higher and higher.
What we are doing in this part of Greece, we provide solutions to prevent the damage from predators like wolves. We are going to provide for free electric fences throughout all this mountainous area. So we want to have a good distribution in the villages in order to demonstrate that it is an effective measure and people go on by themselves to continue.
We find poison baits with huge help of special trained dog, Kiko. Kiko was trained in Spain, and now he provides this very important service to vultures and in general wildlife while sniffing for these poison baits that we call them mines of countryside. If we are here and somebody places several small pieces of meat with poison, it's very difficult for our eyes to find. That's why we use these dog's noses, because it's a very, very nice tool. Poison baits, they are not selective. So this particular animal or any other animal is poison, and then there is a vulture, either it's a black vulture, griffon vulture or Egyptian vulture, that is in the area searching for food, and then it finds this carcass, a very nice meal, but it's poison. Of course, they are the cleaners of the countryside and of the nature from carcasses, is gonna eat it. And immediately it's gonna be poison as well. So it's this vicious circle that it's gonna be there for a very long time if we are not gonna remove the poison bait or poison animal, because this poison animal also automatically it's a poison bait.
My hope for the future is that people will come back to the nature, because nowadays in the whole world people live in cities, and this is I think it's against the natural conservation, because cities ask for more and more and more things, like water, like products, like everything, and the exploitation of the nature in some specific areas of the world is very bad due to the big demand of cities.
Free and Real is a non-profit organization that was created in Athens at the beginning of 2009 with the purpose of doing research on how we could redesign human culture with the technology that we have now. We moved to this place here in Evia Island with the initial purpose to build an eco-community. We started here in September of 2010. In the beginning we didn't have anything here, and my grandmother gave us this small piece of land and we started building here because it was easier the access, and called it the test site. In order to build different kind of buildings as a test and see what works and what doesn't work, because we didn't have any experience about eco-building. And then we rented a small workshop in Agios, it's an ex-village, to use as a workshop. So we have electricity and a big space to work. And during this time we were searching to buy land to create the Telethon project, the School of Sustainability. And it took us about 2 years to find a piece of land in the mountainside which is 12,000 square meters, and it's where we want to create the School of Sustainability and Self-Sufficiency. So from the beginning, we are working in 3 separate locations. Right now, this is the most developed place. It's totally off-grid. We have our own water, our own electricity. We produce electricity with solar panels and a small wind turbine. And all the buildings here are different. None of it is the same, because we are trying to experiment with different materials and different ways of building. We are trying to build efficiently and as cheap as possible, and to create things that can support as many people as possible. Our goals are to work as a model for an eco-community all around the world, so anyone can use the research and practical things that we do all these years and copy this wherever they want in the world. And at the same time, we are trying to establish a network in Greece with similar goals, with other projects with similar goals, in order to co-create the first eco-city in Greece of a bigger scale. My suggestion for people to really have a big impact is very simple daily things you can do. For example, what you eat every day. So this is something you vote 3 times per day, basically. It's a vote that you cast. And you don't have to change your house or your job or anything. Another thing is you cannot invest time, but even if you can invest €5 per month to any project, or any organization, it's a big difference to them. And then, learning to be a conscious consumer instead of a mindless drone that just consumes everything. There are many things you can do without changing your way of life a lot. But in order for us to be fair, we have to learn to consume less in order to share the planet with all the other humans around the world.
We want to become needless. The world should not need NGOs. People should be powerful to act, to understand what is going on, to change things.
Enthusiasm after 3 hours or 3 days or 3 months can leave very quickly. We all want to do things, but the reality of doing what we want is completely quite different from what we're going to face. Yes, I would encourage people. If people do not get involved, there is even less future for this planet. But please try to ask, to learn, to find out more. Don't just rely on your enthusiasm.
What I struggle for, and that's why I'm part of this project, is to create a sustainable world that sustainability is not even necessary as a word, and to share this planet with all the other creatures on it equally, and being able to survive as a species. This is why I'm here. But at the same time, what I see and what I read, all the signals around, kind of balance my hopefulness.
Development, unfortunately, often is happening against the environment, but this is why organizations such as Arcturus is here to make sure that we raise awareness for this, and we make sure that the environment is protected.
more and more people are actually aware of like our actions, like what do we do and how this affects the environment. But in Greece, I think we'll still have a long way to go. But for the last years, I've seen a lot of progress on that, and people are more aware and they're more willing to help out.
If we want to be happy people, if we want to continue to have some sort of climate, of an environment, we have to be using a bit our brain. Our mind is a human mind, and the main thing for a human is to protect its life. And its life is being protected by protecting the environment.
The energy model needs to change, our lifestyles need to change. What we demand is that the world must go towards full decarbonization as soon as possible, not 2050, as soon as possible, and set up big parts of land that are fully protected, because we are talking about 7 billion people living on this earth. It's going to be 9 billion people in no time. We need to have resources and living earth to support healthy lifestyles.
I don't think the future will be very bright, but that doesn't mean that I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'll fight up to the end, and I'll do my best as long as I exist and am capable, and hope that my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and the next generations, it will still be possible for them to have some kind of life on this planet.
People need to take this critical situation in their own hands. Talk with NGOs if they like, read if they like, but the messages are clear, and we are talking about the need for massive environmental action. Get out, shout out to whoever you think will make a difference. You will make a difference in the end.